I am never in a position to judge the movies. Like some people say, oh, Romeo and Juliet, my favorite, or Strictly Ballroom, you never did better. You know, or Mulan Rouge, I love Strictly Ballroom, whatever. Or some people go like, I hate your movies, right? And so a bit like a parent, you just accept that they're your children and you love them, or you love the experience of making them equally but different.
Well, let's start with Faraway Downs. From what I can tell, I mean, as far as I feel, this is beyond a director's cut. You're doing something really interesting.
It is.
About the impetus for that.
Yeah, actually, Ethan, thanks for saying that. Yeah, I call it, meal versus banquet version. Delivering Australia into the American space was really fraught, really fraught. I was really contentious, like all sorts of issues. And it was uncomfortable, to be honest, and I felt unhappy about the way we brought it to the audience in America. Are there things I felt I readdressed in Faraway Downs? It's not Australia. Yes, there is one big, spoiler alert, I can't tell you, plot change. It's interesting because it leaves one of the characters realizing that the only thing they can do is, the only thing they own is their story. And now they have to live a good one. They've lived an amazing one to this point. Don't try and reach back. Don't for the rest of your life go like, oh, if only it was like when. It's like, what's in front of you? What are your circumstances? What are your realities? And now live a new story.
Since we mentioned Strictly Ballroom, that was a seminal one for me. I was in the high school drama club, so we all felt seen. And this was back in the day before the drama nerds were really seen. So that movie got us. Well,
I was trying to make a film that was universal, but I myself was I was certainly a theatre lovey geek. I was wearing my theatre lovey credentials on my sleeve, I think, as I told that story. It's hard to believe that little film, there was so much contention around it. Like, we were picked up at Cannes. I mean, I was dumped. The film was dumped, right, when I first showed it here in Australia by the exhibitor who had one cinema. Then we got picked up in Cannes. Then it just completely blew up. The woman who played the mother, when we lost that cinema, when we lost the one distributed cinema, the guy said, not only is it the worst movie I've ever seen, but you've destroyed Pat Bishop's career. And she was really revered here. And sadly, she died very suddenly, never knowing that the film became a huge hit and that she won the Australian Oscar for that role.
Jumping to Romeo and Juliet, obviously the balcony scene is always the crucial one. And watching that back again, what I always love about Leo's performance there is that he's a dork. I mean, he looks like he did a Matinee Idol, but he's playing it. You have him very dorky, awkward, and I love the choice.
Leonardo, he was only 19 when he came out to Australia to help me convince the studio to do the movie. He's also very text-based. I mean, he looked at the text, we looked at the text, and Romeo is just a kid. I think that what Leonardo caught, if you look into the text and you look into the pentameter and what it's telling you, just by the cadence of it, he's like this, like out of control, in love. I'm going to say this, and I hope it comes out the right way, but silly boy who takes enormously dangerous risks because he's crazy in love, but not in love like I am in love. He's just driven to see this girl again,
Moulin Rouge is another important one. As many couples, my wife and I danced to "Come What May" as our wedding song. So I know I'm not the only person to tell you that, but that was our wedding song. We watched that movie so many times in theaters. But the one I always think of too is the Madonna "Like a Virgin," Jim Broadbent's number. That's Did you have to convince Madonna how you were going to use that song? What was it like, those conversations with?
The publishing companies were not into it. They were like, no, we have rules here. But I was able to reach out to Elton John, who I didn't know at the time, now a great friend, and we love him dearly. But Elton went, oh, darling, this is the best idea ever. Don't worry, I'll make it happen. And Elton really led the charge. And then it was amazing that the musicians themselves were the ones that went like, this is great. No, I want my song to be used in what no one had mashups. I mean, the Elephant Love song medley. I mean, there was no precedent for that. Having the Beatles and like that. Now, of course, samples, but then no. But when it came to Like a Virgin and Madonna's, I know she was informed. I didn't really know her then. I think so. Until I said, "Oh," I asked Madonna, "What do you think of Mulan Rouge?" She said, "Oh, I really liked Like a Virgin."
And I thought you interrogated the Elvis myth very well in Elvis. That the way you did that.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. I mean, one has to be super sensitive because Elvis still has, you know, his family members that live, you know, and people that loved him that live. But there comes a point at which there is no singular correct telling of anyone's life. It's just someone's point of view. And I think documentaries sometimes get off scot-free because they present themselves as the definitive telling, because it's a voice of God saying, and, you know, Elvis was this or Elvis was that, you know, but storytelling is about the universal humanity, the bigger ideas. And, you know, there should be many more Elvis biopics from many different points of view. You have to re-examine him and interrogate's a great word, reinterrogate the story of Elvis if you want to understand the fabric of American history in the 20th century or in the modern era. You cannot take him out of it. And I think that's great.